Alright guys, this is part 2 of the homemade airsoft target. I know it's been a while since I posted that first video back in 2009. I've gotten quite a few emails asking for a part 2, how I made this and all that wonderful stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what I've actually done to this thing since then. I had some time the last couple of days to work on this. Just because I actually wanted to start target shooting again with my airsoft guns. It's a lot easier to shoot plastic BBs than real bullets in my garage, so... Okay, I'm going to go ahead and show you how the current target works now. I'm not going to actually shoot at it. I'll probably do that at the end of the video. But let me go ahead and knock these over with my hand. And let me go ahead and operate the mechanism to return it. So, as you can see, I put in the automatic return. So we don't have to, no longer have to get up and flip these things up manually. And I will show you how I did that. I'm actually using a transmitter, a receiver, and a servo. Hooked up via linkage that I've made to a return bar that I've actually added since the first video. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you really quickly how this works. So I already have the transmitter on. I always have to turn to the right. There's an obvious reason why I have to turn to the right. If I go to the left, this pivot's actually at the same height as this pivot. If you can imagine what's going to happen, since they're at the same height, it's not going to lift the bar. Instead, it's going to bow this bar out and slide the servo out. But if you go the other way, it makes the pivot go under, lifts it up, and it actually works pretty well. Now I'm going to fix that problem so I can actually do it both ways just by probably routing this little piece of wood out and lowering the servo. And then both ways will work just fine, just in case by accident I happen to actually go to the left if I'm not thinking or something like that. So that's how I got it to work. Now, one of the things I have to point out is, if you know anything about servos have a certain range of motion. They either go 30 to 35 degrees one way, and then 30 to 35 degrees the other way. If you notice my servo here, it actually rotates continuously 360 degrees. Now, there are tons of instructions on the internet, YouTube videos, on how to modify a servo to do this. I'm not gonna tell you how I did mine. All I can tell you is I'm using HPI servo. There's no specific instructions for this servo. There are lots of instructions for high-tech servos and I believe some Futaba servos as well. But the general gist of the instructions should work for all servos. You just have to open them up, take a look, figure out where you have to cut, where you have to add the resistors and all that wonderful stuff. So that's what I've done. I actually did get it to work pretty well. It wasn't hard at all. So basically I wanted to show you what the backside of this target looks like. I know I never did that in the first video. So let me go ahead and show you that. Try to ignore the return rod, the electronics, the linkages for right now. In the first video, all I had was in place was the 2x4, the targets, and the aluminum mount here. If you take a closer look at how I did this, it was pretty simple. If you remember, I'm using a recycled aluminum from a 1U rack server I had lying around. Then I used my computer to basically create a template, and then I used the template to trace on the aluminum, and I cut it out using basically the aluminum shears here. 20 bucks from Sears, I think $25 from Sears. You can buy them straight edge, which is what I have here, or you can buy them curved edge. If you ask me which one's better, I have no idea. I don't know why I chose the straight edge for it. I thought maybe I can cut a straight line better with it. But you know, they work relatively well. Just realize when you're going to cut this thin of aluminum, as you're cutting it, you're going to warp the crap out of it. A good hammer and on top of some wood, and you can pretty much pound it all straight later. So after I cut these things out, as you can see, these things have a little lip here, or little legs that you just bend 90 degrees, and I just drill a little hole through. The only thing I bought was the aluminum dowel from Home Depot. And I actually use a drill press to make these holes. Now, if you can use a hand drill if you want, but the only thing is you got to make sure that you drill these holes straight. If you don't drill these holes straight, then these targets are going to be really cockeyed, crooked, and all that stuff. So, spend the time, make sure that you do try to drill them as straight as possible, and it'll make your life a lot easier. As you can see, I have them held in place, or they're kept from sliding back and forth using just simple black pull ties. It's a nice simple setup. Then I basically added this little return bar. I just did this a couple of days ago, and as you can see, pretty simple. Again, recycled aluminum, leftover aluminum bar. Put it in place, put the zip ties in place so it doesn't slide back and forth. And it actually worked relatively, it works pretty well, even without the electronic linkage that I put in later on. I thought about using a piece of string at that point, and I was like, you know what, I'll go ahead and finish it off by using some electronics and some servos, because I've actually mentioned that in some of my posts or some of my emails to you guys. Anyway, so as you can see, it's a nice easy setup, works relatively well. Let me go ahead and turn this on so you can see it functioning. So and there you have it, guys. If you have any questions, definitely email me. I'll try to provide some links to how to modify that servo in the description below. And that's it.